Hello. We're not doing any of the normal intro sequence
Nah.
stuff. It's just not appropriate for the topic we're talking about, and it's not important. Any of that. Our channel rubbish. So obviously, a lot's happened this week in the Doctor Who community. First of all, Noel Clarke has been accused by 20 different women, and there's probably more out there. Let's be perfectly honest. Just because 20 came forward.
Yeah.
It's probably the tip of the iceberg, let's be honest. If someone can do that to that many people, I just don't see them having any control over it. It's just
it's only those who are confident enough to come forward
exactly
for the Guardian article.
And I commend the two who actually revealed who they were as well. That's not easy.
No.
Especially the amount of critique they'll get from people. It was hard to read.
Very,
and it's just really disappointing. As someone, as both of us who are aiming to get into the industry, as fans of a show, and especially with series 1 being, my favorite.
Yeah.
And it's just, it just destroys it, really. Like, you will never be able to watch that series again now without knowing how much of a monster.
Yeah, whenever Mickey's showing up, you're just uncomfortable.
Just
absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm glad it's come out, obviously.
Of course, yeah.
He needs to be held accountable. Very poor of the BAFTAs to give him this award when they were aware of it coming up. Would have been just as easy to scrap the award and just pretend like it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
And it just gets worse. Did you see the Lambda? I think it was, or the,
no, it wasn't Lambda. It was LDSA. I think.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, 4 initials is what it was. That terrible, absolutely terrible. That making students, do that. And it's terrible, and it needs to be eradicated from the industry. We need to
absolutely.
There needs to stop being this hierarchy of power and control within the industry. Everyone is just as important on a film set, from runner to director. They all are integral roles, right? Like, you think, the responsibilities are different. It doesn't matter. You don't have the one person who's taking hard drives from left to right. That doesn't get done. The whole process slows up. Everyone is as important as everyone else. And
it's just, from the public's perspective, it's who people see that, of course, gets put on a pedestal. So mostly the actors, but sometimes you can get directors, occasionally writers and whatnot, also kind of held to those sorts of like unbelievable standards. I mean, admittedly, I think we've all kind of fallen victim to a certain amount of that, because it's easy to do, right? You enjoy an actor on screen, and suddenly, like, they're
amazing.
They're this important figure because they were important to you, and they're important to the things you are watching. But you don't know these people. You don't know what they're like.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen a lot of like. I mean, it's possibly true, but like, a lot of people, like, whenever these things are brought up, it's just like, oh, at least this and this person, they're but in that case, you're still putting people way above on pedestals, right? You can very much appreciate somebody's work, but we don't know these people, and as evidence, there's a lot of creeps and a lot of people who think they can do no wrong, think they can be invincible in this industry and take advantage of people who need the work, need the experience, need the exposure, to get a place in this industry, and feel threatened if they go against these people in power. And it's disgusting, just taking advantage of that in the way that people like Noel do.
Yeah, completely agree, and it's something that needs to stop. I mean, I was reading things about like naked auditions, and ridiculous, disgusting.
Yeah, I mean that was something that I think was also brought up throughout like the Me Too movement as well. I think it might have been Jennifer Lawrence mentioned having to do that and feeling kind of humiliated on that. I mean, it's become a thing that's become less regular, especially in the light of the Me Too movement. But evidently, it's something that's there's still some people doing it.
It's just so wrong. It's
Mm.
just ridiculous that these things are still happening in the industry. There's no correct body.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with Noel. You know, like there's certainly a lot of like the scum of Me Too comes from like the worst people, like the worst occurrences come throughout like the 2000s and early 2010s, right? Most of this was happening like like a lot of the examples in the Noel Clarke article come from like 2015, 2016, 2017 even, you know, and right up to like, you know, before once he kind of got a wind of like the people coming like telling BAFTA about his abuse, he was going around and calling people. It's like,
yikes! Imagine that, getting a call from someone who's like,
well, it's him and his associate. I don't remember the other guy's name, but gross,
disgusting,
really gross. And then trying to go around and silence people.
Yeah. Well, there's been an official police report made now, and I hope he gets what's coming to him, to be perfectly honest. And it's a shame because you can go back on this channel and obviously you'll hear me say, oh, you know, I love Noel Clarke, and obviously that's all retracted now. Disgusted by him.
And I mean, you know, I don't know if we ever talked about the BAFTA award itself, but you know, when you see things like that, as a fan, it's sort of like he started more or less, you know, his career at Doctor Who. So I guess from the back of your head, it's almost like, you know, someone who you kind of watch grow up has achieved a great thing. So at the time, of course, you're like almost kind of like a home pride thing in a weird way, you know.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of felt that when, you know, seeing things like that. But of course, that's, you know, makes it all the more disappointing, you know, that I mean, we've all been, you know, let down by this.
Yeah.
But, you know, I guess it, you know, what as fans being let down doesn't, you know, I guess doesn't mean that.
Oh, not in the grand scheme.
Of course, yeah.
Obviously, all the people,
women affected is the most important thing here.
Yeah. But, you know, I think it's still fair that the fandom does, you know, it does hurt. It does, it tarnishes something that we hold dearly and means something great to us as individuals. You know, I wouldn't have wanted to be in the media industry without that first series of Doctor Who. That was really the spark. And now to know that spark came from, you know, there's just something connected to that that's so dark and just terrible. But then out of that, even worse, there's this clip arised of Noel Clarke being inappropriate at this panel, and you can tell he's making everyone feel awkward. And he's telling a story of John Barrowman on set and how he you know, gets his private parts out like all the time, and whether the joke is amplified for effects. Noel Clarke's making everyone feel awkward, you can tell, and it's the worst thing to watch. You just want him to stop. It's just not funny, and it's just awkward laughing. You can just hear the whole thing is just awkward. It's like, please stop. But then the other thing that comes out of that is, what the fuck is John Barrowman doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think this was people had already talked about it, and heck, it'd been joked about before. Like people were posting like a clip of you remember the wrap up musical thing they did for the end after the end of time, right?
Yeah, the 500
there's a line in there where they specifically mention that basically in a joking manner. Eve Myers mentioned it in like an interview. Freema Agyeman mentioned it in an interview where she was saying like, oh, you know, I felt really awkward, but everybody else around here, you know, just considered it normal that he was wandering about naked. It's like, right.
It's just not appropriate. Like, I'd never come across this thing with Noel Clarke, or two, I didn't even know about like that.
No.
I'd missed all of that. Completely inappropriate for a workplace.
Mm,
You're there to make something. It's not
mm,
fucking play around time.
mm,
People don't want to see your junk.
mm.
Simple as. You know,
Yeah.
it's not funny. It is.
Apparently, that's just John, or so they say, and it's adorable. Whatever.
It's
It's gross.
not
It's
appropriate
sick.
at
You
all.
know? Absolutely not. And putting it on people, they were talking about that with
Yeah,
because of course Camellia, I can't remember her last name. Jackie was, there in the interview and talking about how, John Barron was doing that to her,
yeah, just on a
and she's
shoulder.
in an awkward place because I think Noel Clark, I think is her like, I think her her child's godfather or something like that, or a grandson
wow.
or something like that. There was some additional connection there as a result, as a
Yeah,
result of their time on Doctor Who. Makes it all the more, difficult, I guess. But especially for her, I imagine.
for sure.
But yeah, I mean, of course, no like media outlets are. Well, actually, I've seen one article on it, but like the John Barrowman thing is mostly at the minute being swept under the rug, more or less, because media aren't picking up on it. And I think that's mainly because none of the actors have come out and said, yeah, this was a bad thing, and I felt uncomfortable yet, I suppose. But
I think it's only
same
time.
time, I don't feel comfortable anymore. Like I saw the guy. I've actually been to a convention and got John Barrowman to sign my thing. You know, and now I just feel uncomfortable because of course I've got the signature sitting right here, and like what do I do with that now? I don't really entirely feel comfortable having it there, and I mean I'm not going to throw this out either because it's got Christopher Eccleston's signature on it. Uh, which which was the point that was brought up was he left the show because of a toxic work environment, and you can absolutely, given all that's
Gee.
come to light, you can absolutely see it, right?
Yeah.
Being kind of a far more sincere and
He would have taken it professionally because he's a
yeah,
professional.
exactly.
Why would Christopher Eccleston want some guy strolling around naked on set? It's not appropriate.
Exactly. And I think I mentioned this in like some podcast or another, but like I heard that there was indications on like Instagram, whatever, that him and John Barron didn't get along. Of course, nobody knew kind of the context of that, but bringing all these pieces together, it seems pretty obvious, and at the minute, awful lot more respect to him for that.
For walking, fuck yeah. Honestly, like, it shows that you didn't stand by it, and probably half of his issues that came up with Russell T and the production team was probably him complaining about these guys. To be perfectly honest, and they just
they enabled it.
Yeah, which kind of that also, it's just now it's just a landslide of enablers, and it just.
Yeah.
And what's bad is even now is showing up in this time fracture thing.
Yeah. And again, if this is swept under the rug like it appears to currently be, just carry on as if nothing happened.
I'm not getting.
Although his Twitter's gone quiet.
I can imagine after it trending, right? Like. I'm not going to enjoy seeing Captain Jack again if he shows up, honestly.
Yeah, there were rumors that he was going to appear somewhere in the next series.
Oh, for sure.
Because there was like there was a leak where there was like a book about Captain Jack where supposedly it's linked to the third episode in the next series or something like that. Yeah. Eesh.
It's what do you even say? Like how it just needs to change. It all needs to change.
Absolutely.
There needs to
Thankfully,
be a proper. There needs
I
to be a
guess
proper
after,
HR
after the meet,
department for the media industry in general. The issue is
yeah,
HR. I always think it's a weird thing that human relations is part of the company that you're making a complaint about, because half the
yeah,
time you make a complaint and then you get made out to be the issue. This happened to someone I met. They a friend of hers got a racist remark made about them. It wasn't okay. She went to HR, and this is acting, by the way, so in the industry, made a complaint, and HR made out that she was the problem. She's making a fuss. And how can HR bodies be connected to the company that you're complaining about? Because obviously you're not going to want to, it's bad for your company. Why would you? It makes no sense, right? And that's the issue with the HR as general. It has to be completely disconnected, so that if a big thing like this arises and someone makes a very valid claim, they don't get a victim. They don't get called. Oh, you're just you're trying to be a victim, and victim shaming.
In terms of actors, there are I guess a few more resources they can turn to, like unions you can make complaints to and other places. But like even like if you've got agencies, of course, and you're part of unions, people without, like, of course, they don't have anything to defend themselves off on in this sort of thing. But like even like cast and crew and such I don't think have the same luxuries.
There needs to just be a whole creation made that you can go to, right? That as a runner, all the way up to cameraman and director. There has to be for the whole range. Because this is the issue. Look who Noel Clarke, aimed his vile attacks on. It was runners. It was young people. It was entry level people. Who do they go to? Because they're not going to be able to go to the top of a production of this and be like, yeah, this person made me feel uncomfortable.
Particularly when Noel practically was top of a lot of these productions.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where a vast majority of the cases written in here are on his productions, where he's the writer and he's basically in charge of everything. And so he took advantage of that to...
Yeah. And there's this actor who was on Kidulthood or something, or Adulthood, maybe both, who basically called him out, and then Noel ruined his career. And he said, everyone just said he was, the kid who shouted wolf, like they completely ignored him, and they said that Noel harassed him. And now when you look back at it, it's like he was right all along. And it's very, it's just fucked, really. I can't really put it any other way. It's just terrible. And like, now I never want to see Captain Jack again in the show, because it's just it's unfair, right? It's just unfair to everyone who you did that to, who didn't want it. It's just not appropriate. I don't care, right? And there needs to be change. There needs to be a body that people can go to, and acting schools need to look after their students a bit better.
Oh yeah, they left it, leaving him there like unattended to,
right? Terrible. And then the final thing, obviously this week in the other kind of part of it was the whole kind of, I'm not going to say any names because I don't want their names attached to our platform at all. But yeah, the Doctor Who fan community is already quite a volatile place at times. A lot of gatekeeping, which is just not. You can't gatekeep something that's to so many people, right? It's just you can enjoy it as much or as little. You can hate whatever episode you like. You can like whatever episode you like.
Yes.
You can have those opinions. It's when you say lies and stuff, that's when it's not appropriate, right? That's when you're being a bad person, right? Making up stuff. That's not cool. Obviously, it's there was someone else now recently was being inappropriate towards lesbian fans, bisexual fans, and making them feel very uncomfortable. And the way that they got into this position was they somehow, unbeknownst to me, got somehow put on a pedestal in a fandom. Nothing connected to the show, nothing. They're just a fan, but somehow this inner circle kind of thing grew up, and I completely disagree that there should never be a inner circle of fans in a show that's about inclusivity, right? The show's about accepting everyone. So why is suddenly there's this little group of fans? I completely, disagree with anything like that, because it defeats the purpose of the show. And the issue is then it gives people who aren't ready to be put on a pedestal. Like no one should be put on a pedestal anyway, but it just happens, right? That's just the way that human society works. There will always be people who get put up, mostly actors, but it's a transition, right? And I think it's important that you go through that transition of getting there, because then hopefully by the time you get it, you're at least in a state of humbleness, at least, about it. That's what you hope, at least. Obviously sometimes it goes the wrong way, but for just being a fan and just on Twitter, I don't see it just shouldn't happen. It's everyone is equal. If you've got a Twitter account and you just post about a show you love, that's nothing. Like, I'm sorry, like it's rubbish to me. There shouldn't be any inner circle cutoffs or anything like that. Everyone is as equal a valid fan as it is, and I don't think there should be faces of the community. Like, fuck off. I didn't vote for you to represent me as a fan. I am my face of a community, and that's me. I don't want anyone, just because I like your tweets doesn't mean that, oh, you're representing me as a fan. You just said a fucking funny thing, right? And that's all it should be. It's okay, this person makes some funny tweets. They're cool. That's it. Like, not somehow they have this, do you want to join a group of this inner circle of Doctor Who fans? If you're doing that, stop. It's not. It's not appropriate. It's not. For a show all about inclusivity, no one should be suddenly trying to make an inner group, something like that. That's closed off, right? Sure, make a group which anyone can join, anyone and everyone. That's completely fine. That's building like a sub community within a community. That's different to actually having like a closed off, invite only kind of thing. That's, to me, that crosses the line. And that's how these kind of things happen, because then people feel like they've got this power, this control, right? And then these kind of things happen, and I sympathize hugely with those who then get taken advantage of. And I've read statements that people have made about this individual who got put on a pedestal and used this power to cross boundaries and make people feel very uncomfortable, and make people feel like they couldn't say anything because of who they were. And it just shouldn't happen. And there shouldn't be any inner circles. I don't know if you've got anything else to add to that, but
I wasn't kind of, I guess, super aware of the story beforehand. I kind of missed the whole thing, but I agree. I mean, having like groups or like Discord servers is one thing, but like an enclosed almost like thing, as you seem to kind of say it is, that's pretty. That's bad.
It goes against everything that the show's for, right? In my opinion, like it's
surrounding yourself in the bubble, and it's easy enough for the bad eggs and the trash humans to appear in those sorts of places and stand their high horse, and
they leech onto any power that they get, and then they use it to the max. And then it only gets bigger and bigger as soon as you do that. Just a very disappointing couple of weeks as a Doctor Who fan. it really knocks my just love for the show. It makes it really difficult
Mm,
sometimes.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I think in a show this large, that's lasted this long, I guess you're bound to get
Yeah,
some awful people, in there at some point. Um, but doesn't make it any easier. Doesn't make it any easier as a fan to have to face things like this. It hurts. It hurts as a fan, but it's bigger than that. It's bigger than the
oh
show.
yeah,
These people hurt. You know, these people, and we can do nothing but stand by it and hope that this that future of the industry is better. And after the Me Too movement and holding people far more accountable to their actions, I think we're in a better place to do it. Not that there's ever going to be like any like of course there's always going to be some awful people join the industry and trying to get away with things. The important thing is that when it happens, that they can be held accountable to this in future. And so, yeah, as much as it hurts the fan to, have all these things come out about Noel and about John Barrowman, yeah,
but
it's a good thing that it's being said.
yeah.
Like, as
Oh,
much as it
good.
hurts,
No, needs to be said. Needs to happen. Has
because they
to.
can't just be allowed to run rampant like this.
It just terrifies me about going into the industry as well, right? Like, just terrible.
Mm,
But I think that's all I have to say. It's just
yeah, pretty much.
yeah. I don't even know how to wrap this up, so I think
No,
I think that's it.
till next time.
Yeah,
Whenever that might be.
yeah. I might be busy for a bit with my little short film,
Mm,
so we'll see
yeah.
what happens. But honestly, this kind of makes me just want to take a break for a bit.
Mm.
Just yeah, cool. See you later, guys.
Yeah.